In the 21st century, a weapon will be invented like no other. This weapon will be powerful, versatile, and indestructible. It can't be reasoned with. It can't be bargained with. It will feel no pity, no remorse, no pain, no fear. It will have only one purpose: to return to the present and prevent the future. This weapon will be called the Terminator.
You're dead, honey.
What day is it? The date? 12th May, Thursday.
What year? I'm here to help you. I'm Reese, DN 38416, assigned to protect you. You've been targeted for termination.
Why does it want me? Why me?
Arnold Schwarzenegger is the Terminator. Your future is in its hands.
Well, good morning to you, everybody. I am Graham Nolan, your horrible host for 31 Days of Monsters. We are on day 21. Today, we're going to be talking about James Cameron's groundbreaking, incredible sci-fi thriller, The Terminator, 1984, I think it was. Saw this at the theaters, and my mind was blown. I was like, wow, what a tight script. What a really great movie. And it still holds up. It's still a great film. The interesting thing about this movie is that originally they were thinking of O.J. Simpson for the role, but the producers felt that he was too likable and nobody would buy him as a homicidal killer. Tells you what they know in Hollywood, right? But they got Arnold as the Terminator, but he was originally the producer wanted to cast him as Reese. And Cameron didn't want that. And as he interviewed Schwarzenegger, he was going to try and pick a fight with him and then go back to the producer and say he's too hard to work with. But the two got along great. Schwarzenegger was talking to him about the character and stuff. And then he decided, you know what? This movie's really about the Terminator, not about Reese. And so we offered him the role. And the rest is history. It's got a great cast that went on to a lot of good things. Linda Hamilton is in this. She's beautiful and very believable. The club that they shot this thing in didn't exist. And it's called the Tech Noir, which is which was a term that Cameron used to describe the type of movies he makes. Movies like not only his, but films like that don't fall into that straight sci-fi category like Blade Runner. So that's what he named that club. This went off to make a great sequel. Just as good, I think. You know, the original script had the T2000, the liquid Terminator in it. In the original script, there's going to be two Terminators, and sort of Lucas-esque, he split them up because A, they didn't have the technology to believably do the liquid Terminator, and B, Cameron didn't have the pull to get that kind of a film made. You know, he wasn't the James Cameron that, became famous later on. This was like a huge launch pad for him. But, what else can we say about this movie? I know there was something else I wanted to tell you about it. Well, maybe it'll come back to me in the chat. A lot of times that triggers memories and stuff. Particularly since we do this early in the morning, my friends. But this one, this is one of those movies that's a pleasure to watch. There are some on the list I put there just to spice things up, change things up, maybe expose you to some new to you, but maybe old stuff. Stuff like White Zombie. A lot of people hadn't seen that. Gamera. But some of them are a tough chew to get through. You know, if I'm trying to get that movie in the day before the show so that it's fresh in my mind. This is not one of those. This one is like, yeah, I can watch this one all the time. It's great. So Dr. Mask's Retro Elixir is here. Stippling Vaughn, Rob Fellows. What have we got? Mothballs, corn syrup, ammonia. What's for dinner? Good line. Give me your clothes. Hail Graham. Says Fearless Freep. Rob's not going to be able to tune in. He's on a train. He's going through tunnels. So, safe journeys, my friend. Leg Kick One is here. JP Roca asks, what's good? Marcus Kellegrew is here. He says, hail and good morning. Dan Genovese is here. Santiago Peligros is here. He says, ladies and gentlemen. Hyper Kaiju says, good morning, all. Well, now I feel old. This movie was made in the year Dan was born. Dennis Shoemate is up. All right, let's see what he has to say. Morning, gang. Lots of action, but I think what I like most about this flick is Cameron actually delivers real suspense here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Kevin Thomas. Remember, kids, there are only 2 Terminator films. That is true. That is true. Just like there's only 2 Alien films. Don't mess that up on a test. Brian Shockey is here. He says, good morning. Happy Monster Friday. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's Friday. Happy Monster Friday. Yeah, tomorrow I'm going to be doing my presentation at the North Park Theater in Buffalo. We'll be showing at 11:30 starting. We'll be showing Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein on the big screen, and then The Thing from Another World. I am so excited to see this on the big screen. I've never seen either of those films that way, and to talk about them because they're 2 passions of mine. So it should be fun if you're in that area. You know, come on by. Little did they know how OJ would turn out. They knew in Buffalo, I can tell you that. I had friends of mine that were detectives on the Buffalo Police Department during his era here when he played. I didn't live here. I didn't grow up in this area, but I had friends that were cops that lived here and worked here and did stadium duty and stuff like that on their spare time. And at that time, there was tons of domestic violence calls that would go in. So to his house, and it was covered up by the Buffalo media and by the NFL. This was, the 1970s. It was a different time protecting their franchise. But the cops here knew he was not the Avis guy or the guy from police squad movies, So when the news came down, their first thought was, yeah, he did it. Fun trivia, the Terminator is a ripoff of Harlan Ellison's soldier script he wrote for The Outer Limits in the 1960s. He took Cameron to 20th century to court and won. Yes, and in the subsequent DVDs and videos after that court case, he had to get credit. I have a hard time believing how he won that because there are some major differences. I've seen Soldier, the Outer Limits episode, And while it does share the idea that a soldier from the past, goes back to the present, that's like saying, a farm boy gets picked up to fight a despot to save the universe. That's Luke Skywalker, but it's also Flash Gordon. But what do I know? The guy won, so I guess maybe he had better lawyers. Dr. Mask says apparently James Cameron was living in his car when he wrote this. Love this movie, that police station. You know what makes that police station scene so great is a lot of these horror type movies where you've got this, whether it's a creature or a Terminator running loose and after somebody, nobody else sees it. Sort of like Michael Myers in Halloween. Outside of Laurie Strode and any victims that come across, nobody sees him. So when somebody goes to them and says, "Hey, this crazy guy, has been after us. He's been shot. He's been stabbed. Blah blah blah," and he still keeps coming. Nobody would believe them, and that never happens. But there's a couple of movies where the police do get involved in it, and it's obvious that the horror becomes much more shared, and it's less insulated. And I really like when a movie does that. Another one that did that was Jeepers Creepers. Nowhere near as good as this film, but there is a sequence. It takes place on these desolate roads, and it's very insulated. And then they get to the police department, and then it shows itself there, and then to me it gets real. So I love when a film does that and brings it to the masses. Outside of something like a giant monster where there's no denying it. How do you the thing standing as tall as a building? How could you say that it didn't happen? And has all the Cameron regulars. Not all of them yet, but he was building his stock players, the same way John Ford did. Bill Paxton is in this. He plays that hippie dude. Punk dude. Michael Biehn, of course. Lance Henriksen. I'm trying to think who else is in there. Goldstein, the woman from Aliens, is in the second film. She plays the adopted mother. And then T-2000 becomes her on the phone. That's a cool sequence. I love you too, dear. That's great. Santiago says the list of Harlan Ellison, which got sued, got to be huge. Michael Biehn also, he's got what I call crazy eyes. And one of the things, when you see him in Tombstone, going up against Doc Holliday, he's got those crazy eyes. Let's go, that kind of stuff. And he's got that in this here too, which makes it all the more believable that nobody believes him. I'm a soldier, TS1 out of the, and he's spouting all that shit. Like in the psychologist is saying, this guy's really good. He's got all his details down, and he's got those crazy eyes. It's like, okay, this guy's boop boop. You believe that, but obviously we on the inside know that everything he tells is the truth. Oh, here's the funny thing. This is what I wanted to tell you guys. In 7 years, today's 2022. In 2029 is when Reese got sent back to 1984. So enjoy what we have, people, because Skynet is coming, and the world is going to be a shit show in 2029. So, get out there at those midterms and let's change things. It's so funny when you pass those dates, like Soylent Green. That date came up, I think, like 2 years ago, something like that. Then it's fun later on watching these movies, in the far-flung future of 1999. I think Destroy All Monsters was that, in the far-flung future of 1999, all the monsters have been gathered together. Which seems like a long way off, Joe says, check it out on Old Time Radio X-1. Oh, that's a great radio program. Ellison ripped off Frederick Pohl's Target 1. Somebody is sent back to the past to kill Albert Einstein in order to prevent development of the atomic bomb to avoid a Holocaust. Aha! See? There's no original idea out there. Everything has been used and morphed. What do they say? There's only 4 plots, something like that. Original plots. I don't know, but anyway, yeah, I think that was. I think that lawsuit was not cool. Particularly when you read about this plot, this is the same type of plot. Send somebody from the future to change it. Send somebody back to the past to change the future. Well, yes, Felix Freep, there is a Star Trek connection here. We got Paul Winfield, who was in Wrath of Khan. Dan Blackeroyd says Paxton didn't have much luck against the sci-fi bad guys. Aliens, Predator 2. I forgot he was in Predator 2. I try to block that movie from my mind. That's so terrible. And Terminator. There's a movie that stands alone. The Predator. Not The Predator, I should say. Predator. The Predator was actually quite good too. That's with Adrian Brody. I did like that. That's it, man. Game over. Why don't we put the girl in charge? Skynet just changed its name to Google. Yeah. Okay. I think I got everybody covered here. Tomorrow, I think, is it, isn't it? I don't have my list in front of me, but I think it's it. And I found a movie for Wednesday night to do a watch party again, since everybody seemed to enjoy that. It's called Bride of the Gorilla. Interesting about this movie is it does have a good cast. It's got Tom Conway in it. It's got Lon Chaney Jr. in it. It was written and directed by Kurt Siodmak, who wrote The Wolfman, created The Wolfman. So I have not seen it, and I have no plans on watching it until we all watch it together for the first time. So don't. That's not a homework assignment. Don't watch that. Let's all watch that one for the first time together. We might be going on at 8:00 on Wednesday, just because I might do a Storytellers at 7. So we'll see. But you'll get the notification when I have that locked down. But that should be fun. Fearless Freep is comparing Michael Biehn a little bit to Bruce Dern, but not as crazy. Love Bruce Dern. So great. Did you ever see him in the War Wagon? He and this other cowboy have been sent to kill John Wayne's, or they've been sent to enlist Kirk Douglas, whose name is Lomax, to kill Todd Jackson, who's John Wayne's character. And so they go there and they start, talking to him. Oh yeah, the boss will pay you, $2,000 or whatever it is. And Kirk Douglas is actually there with Jackson. So he says, "You hear that, Taw?" And John Wayne walks out, and the two of them are standing together. He goes, "I heard." And so he says, "Well, what should we tell the boss?" And these guys are getting nervous. And he says, "Tell him I'll think about it." And the two guys are walking. They're turned around. They're walking back. And Bruce Dern says to his buddy, boss ain't going to like that answer. He says, "I know it." And he says, "Well, why don't we do it ourselves?" And he goes, "Are you ready?" He says, "Yeah, let's do it." And they turn around and they draw their guns. And then Lomax and Jackson do a quick draw, and they both shoot, and the guys fall down dead. And Lomax looks at Jackson and goes, "Mine hit the ground first." And then John Wayne's character goes, "Mine was taller." What a great scene. Love that movie. Graham, have you ever seen any of the East Side Kids films? Bela Lugosi stars in a couple. Same vein as Abbott and Costello, but on a lower budget. Yeah, on a lower budget and just not as funny either. Yeah, I have a hard time with the Bowery Boys or the East Side Kids films. They are really, really low budget. Yeah, I like the watch party. Imagine how long it would be if he invited Kelly Jones. We wouldn't get the movie. Kelly and I'd be talking the whole time. Okay, gang. So tomorrow morning, probably around 9-ish, something like that, we'll discuss it. And we shall see you then. Have a great Friday. Enjoy your weekend. And again, show up at the North Park Theater if you are local. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.